Hello my friends and welcome to episode 33. What might be a very interesting deployment episode. So, Herman the German requested reinforcements and so we have new gear, we have new equipment. So it's going to be an interesting little breakdown of what upgrades do we take and which ones do we not take, based on the idea that we can only do 3 upgrades on this particular occasion. So the first thing to do is to just have a quick go through upgrading one of everything and just seeing what's available. And the answer will become pretty obvious. So the first thing is we have the new Panzer 1B, and it remains completely inferior to all of my tanks, all of my stolen tanks anyway, as you can see. This is even the tank that is that I identified as being one that is just useful for hosing infantry because it's got 11 soft and rapid fire 1x. Well, this guy has also got rapid fire 1.5x and slightly better anti-tank, but ever so slightly. But enjoys worse initiative, worse defense, and no close defense. So it's not even that great at hosing infantry. So okay, so we're not going to be deploying 1Bs. That is for certain. One thing you could say about the 1B is that it's only 2 slots, and for 2 slots, it's not bad at all. So there is that. Because these other tanks, they do require 3 slots. But the thing is, tanks are... I'm using them a lot of the time to create encirclements. What I want is a vehicle that is tough, that cannot be easily destroyed. It's not so much the firepower for me, it's high initiative and high defense is what's important in a tank. And so, you know, it doesn't matter if I could get extra tanks because they're cheaper. If they cannot survive, you know, being attacked while they're making up part of an encirclement. Okay, so anyway, that's the explanation with tanks. We're going to leave them exactly as they are. We've got our infantry hoser, we've got our heavily armoured T-26, we have some BT-5s. It would be nice, since I have some additional T-26s, to upgrade to them at some point. The only thing about the T-26 is it's quite a slow tank. So that's something to keep in mind. And of course this tank is amazing. The Verdija is just an amazing vehicle. Right, now one thing I am going to do is I am going to put no retaliation on the infantry hose tank. Because it's I'll put fast learner on there as well to speed things up. It's going to be attacking infantry a lot of the time, and infantry will tend to be in city tiles and hills and close terrain. Not on this map necessarily, because this map looks pretty flat, but just in the general case. And the ability to attack without retaliation is very useful for a tank whose primary role is to hose infantry down for me. Okay, so that's the tank discussion. Recons. And this is amusing in that these recons have leveled up so fast. Now what's interesting is the limit of experience is 2.5 in this campaign, and we have a lot more of this campaign to go. So now it is the case that we can use standard replacements and not lose 2 stars and not lose any combat capability. Not this one, not right this minute, but once they hit 2.5, I might be able to make the occasional replacement without actually falling below 2 stars, and therefore not wasting any experience points. In terms of recon upgrades, we received prototypes, which are nice, and a reasonably solid upgrade, but once again, lower initiative and lower defense means that these recon cars are actually much more vulnerable. And honestly, as an anti-tank car, the BA6 is better. I don't see where these fit in. Basically, it's a slightly inferior anti-tank version of the recon car, but it is still got 8 movement. So yeah, it's... I don't know, man. I don't like the lowered initiative and the lowered defense for the same reason as I do with tanks. So it's nice to receive a prototype, of course, always, but I can't see myself using this one either, or upgrading either of these UNL 35s. I'm quite happy with them exactly as they are. It also makes me wonder if I actually have any spares. Sorry, how many spares I've got. You can't see that from the upgrade screen. You actually have to use the purchase screen. I have a reasonably large stock of UNL 35s, so there's really no concern. Next, anti-tank guns. The only upgrade available is the utterly awful Breda. And we have actually found enough 45mm to upgrade to 45mm. The only thing I would say is that, you know, we only get 3 upgrades. So that is an easy upgrade to do if we have a spare upgrade available, but we probably don't. Right, and this is where things start getting interesting. So obviously I have denied artillery, so there won't be any more artillery. But this is the point now. This map is very much like the maps in the original campaign. Flat and with the promise of lots of enemy vehicles. And this is where I feel that standard artillery really starts to suffer. Now, I'm not going to upgrade the my German artillery, because then I would lose it forever, and it's nice to have artillery that has infinite replacements, just in case. But what I am going to do is I am going to file these away. And I am going to deploy now 152, the 15cm guns, because they are mechanized, but they also counter tanks. In addition to countering infantry, they counter tanks. And that flexibility is very useful to me. And because I'm deploying 15cm, now I'm going to not deploy the anti-tank, because the way artillery interacts with anti-tank, anti-tank can't be supported, but 15cm will support each other. With 22 spares remaining, I can deploy a whole set of them and not... it would not be a problem. Now, obviously, because I'm not upgrading from these, I'm deploying these with no experience, but it is my overwhelming experience that 15cm with all their counterattacks and flexibility will rack up the experience points by themselves pretty quickly. We can always use our double EXP guy after a few after a few missions if any of them are falling behind too much. And it's actually nice to have some spare artillery that has some experience on it. We can bring it back into the fight if we need to. 2 of them have hit level 1. But the only reason why I'm keeping them around is denied artillery. If I didn't have the denied artillery trait, I would just upgrade my 15 centimeters, my 10.5 centimeters, or my 15 centimeters would be upgraded over the top of my 10.5s. It's the fact that I can't go back. That is the problem. Okay, anti-aircraft guns. Once again, the 8.8 has now become available for use. And, you know, it's a great piece of kit. Truly. I said that earlier. But I never upgraded to it because the slot cost is pretty severe for an army that has very few slots available. And I really kind of needed to have that flexibility that came with having all of this, you know, deployable mini anti-aircraft guns. But now might be the time to concentrate my army down a little bit. Once again, you know, because this is a small map. I'm trying to focus more power into smaller space, which is easier for me to control. But for the moment, I'm going to save my 3 upgrades because we're gonna find out in a second. What we have also gained is aircraft upgrades. This HE-112 is twice as good, easily, maybe more than twice as good than the HE-51. And the old junk maker is now a standard unit, which is also, you know, another aircraft that is severely better than the unit that it replaces. Okay, so then and finally we have the Strat Bomber, which also has an upgrade, which is about 30% better, approximately 30% better than the unit it replaces, and it's also severely more difficult to shoot down with fires. With 3 air defense and 5 air defense and 3 air attack. If it gets attacked by enemy fighters, it will actually hurt them. So, with the fighter being, the fighter upgrade being twice as good as standard, it of course makes sense to upgrade them. As soon as it's possible to do so. This one's got a special camo, and I don't because it's not. It was my demo expert, but not anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade 2 of my fighters. It's very obvious that we need to do this because these fighters are just so superior. Oh, of course, they also have an additional core slot cost, which is to be expected. So let's file away a Strat Bomber for now. Okay. Wait a minute, what happened there? I didn't select it, obviously. Or it didn't work. Oh, right, because the Strat Bombers are only 1 core slot each. Let's just file this away for now, temporarily. Okay, alright. And I would consider myself to be reasonably happy with this. We've spent some core slots on this artillery here. But that really does offer us some great tactical flexibility. So obviously I need to work on upgrading my Strat Bombers and my fighters. Those are the things that need upgrading. I can do 3 this mission, I can do 3 next mission. For some reason the new Strat Bomber is like worse against ships, so if we encounter any ships we might want to pull out the old ones, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to file away stuff that's not upgraded. It's not necessarily, the JU is definitely better than the HS-13A, but it's also a core slot more. And these guys are actually, they do pretty severe damage in their own right, so... Okay, so one last thing that I'm going to do is switch out now the question is which one. Switch out a anti-aircraft gun for an 8.8. Because that extra denial is going to be really useful for protecting my artillery now. Let's go with man, it's all about the core slot costs, isn't it? I really wish, you know, it's funny because I've not been able to deploy you know, a full and balanced army because I haven't had any 0 slot guys at all, or at half slot guys. And so I've been sort of quite under pressure by the core slot costs, especially as the technology is improved and, you know, everything's starting to cost more slots. You can't really afford to fall behind because the enemy's better equipment will result in severe damage to you. So let's buy one. And shuffle in a flak. I can't, you know, because if I upgrade, of course, then I will, if I upgrade, of course, then I'll be using one of my precious upgrades, and I need to, at some point, upgrade all my Strat Bombers and all my fighters, so next turn I'll be working on that. I doubt there'll be too much new gear during the next mission. I think we're going to be stuck with these for a while. Now, one thing that you can do, in fact, is use auxiliary anti-air, but anti-air is actually pretty expensive. So this is another thing that's interesting to me. Is these fighters are very cheap. Like 70 prestige. Tacticals are a bit more expensive at 140. Strat Bombers are also a little bit more expensive at 120. Anti-air and artillery are obviously very expensive units that you're going to be carrying around with you, and tanks get more expensive over time. So it can make sense to actually deploy auxiliary fighters semi-regularly, because they're more of a core slot cost than a money cost. So deploying them as auxiliary means that they're not taking up core slots, which is the way in which they are expensive, and that they are that the prestige is lost when you deploy them, but they end up taking a lot of damage, so they're usually wrecked by the end anyway. Just thoughts in my head. Right, let's right, sorry. Before we start the actual deploying of the units, there's one other thing. In this campaign, there is some choices coming up where you are asked to pay half your prestige for commendations. And so what's interesting about that is that if you don't have a lot of prestige, then half of not much is not much, right? So it can make sense now to buy a load of kit and put it in reserve, because then it's not prestige and they can't take it from you. This is tax avoidance, basically. And it's easiest to do this with artillery and anti-aircraft guns because they are obviously fantastically expensive. So I'm going to purchase a... Ooh, no, I'm not going to purchase that as auxiliary. That would be very bad. One way around this is that they don't, or they've tried to prevent you from doing this, is to make it such that if you buy a unit and you don't have the slots for it, it will become let's file these away for now. It will become an auxiliary purchase, which I don't want. Whoa, that's weird. Overstrength 6 to 12. What? Oh, that's the slot cost. Sorry. Silly me. So I'm just buying some spares. Of various things. But you can always sell these items and turn them back into prestige. Let's I'm just gonna buy loads of anti-aircraft guns because they're fantastically expensive items. This is how we avoid the tax man. You can take 50% of nothing. And this is the funny thing, is, you know, you can sell this stuff and you will recover its prestige cost. So I can maintain an armada of things. In the world in which we lose our tanks, which I doubt would happen, but anyway, I'll buy a couple of tanks and put them in reserve. Stick that in reserve too. I'll just burn the rest of the money on anti-aircraft guns. Interesting. What's the difference between these two? One has slightly more ammo than the other. Okay. That's an exciting difference. Okay, so we're down to 1,000, 2,000 prestige. Let's take that just a little bit lower. Tax avoidance. Tax avoidance, best avoidance. Okay, so let's file my artillery back in. Which hero did I leave on this guy? Oh, this is my guy who generates prestige. Okay, so that's important that I unassign his ass. Okay, alright, and that's our army ready. And my tax avoidance plan implemented. Let's go. Auxiliary time. So for auxiliaries, for me it's of course I want some fighters. Some scout planes. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then I want some extra fighters that I can just throw away. Looking at the wrong tab here. The German fighter is definitely the superior tool now. You know, and once again, it's the slot cost that's expensive, not the prestige cost. I should mark mine with a camo so I know which ones they are. There we go, a nice green colour. And I don't know whether I should deploy some infantry that's mine. It's always, because I can't deploy my own infantry, of course. I never buy trucks for them because that feels like a waste of prestige. Let's deploy an extra fire. The thing is, you'll save money. You'll save money because you will sacrifice these things. They will take loads of damage for you. That fire plane is like right there. I'm going to shred his ass with my AA guns just immediately. Let's position my fighters in the center of each position. Undeploy it. I can't undeploy it because it's freaking auxiliary. Fine. I'll deploy it here instead. Okay, this is like the best fire formation because it provides every other craft with two defenders. I don't know why it switched across like that there. Oh, it's a dirt airfield, so it can't actually support any more craft. That's fine. That just means I have nowhere for... I have to... Sorry, it means I have to deploy this Strat Bomber up here because I've only got one real airport. Okay. This infantry, I brought it along... Well, I bought auxiliary infantry to basically cover these rocky areas. I should have bought some bridge engineers, but it's probably not necessary. Let's go here. Here and down here. Okay, 15 centimeters where I can defend them. Probably actually wise to make sure that there is an anti-aircraft gun up here to defend. Even if, you know, it's underneath the airport, it should be defended. Okay, infantry hose tank, let's put that in the middle where it can get the most hose for its money. Let's get our most heavily armoured tank in the middle too. Standard deployment for me. Why is it like I'm missing a tank? Oh no, I've deployed that in the right place just automatically. Okay, standard tank at the top. Somewhere near the top. Let's say here. So I always, you've seen me do this over many missions now, always put my most effective, most powerful tools in the center, and then I have my recon cars and more standard stuff at the top and bottom to scout for me. That way I can direct my force, the attention of my force to where it's most needed, either up or down. It can the most quickly respond. Alright, 15 centimeter gun to push in there and push up here and nail that tile. Alright, deployment complete. I've only got 624 prestige so far as the taxman knows. Oh, so funny. So yeah, when you complete this mission, you'll get the choice to buy commendations for half your prestige. Which is a great idea, trying to tax players. But I come from Jersey and we know all about tax. So, good luck. Good luck getting my assets. Right. That is it for the deployment. I hope for those of you who like deployments, you found this interesting, since there was a lot to think about and a lot to talk about, even if some of it was a little bit rambly. And the next deployment will probably be interesting as well, whether there's new stuff or not, because there's still plenty of upgrades that I need to make. Here's hoping at some point for a 0-slot hero so I can deploy my 21 centimeter gun. Otherwise that's going to sit in my pocket forever. Because while it's a great piece of kit, it's not worth the slot cost. But now is the time to transition to 15 centimeter, which definitely is worth the slot cost. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.